Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling smaller than when you walked in? And you have no idea how it happened. You didn't say anything wrong. You were kind, reasonable, maybe even patient. But somehow by the end of it, you were apologizing, or explaining yourself, or doubting something you were absolutely certain about 5 minutes before. If that sounds familiar, I need you to know something important. That confusion you felt, that's not weakness. That is the very proof that someone was deliberately working against your clarity. And today, we are going to talk about how to stop them, not with arguments, not with confrontation, but with something far more powerful than words. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share has the potential to change how you move through every relationship in your life. I want to speak to you directly, the woman who has lived long enough to know what real love feels like, what real friendship looks like, and yet somehow still finds herself tangled up with someone who leaves her feeling confused, guilty, or just plain exhausted. You are not naive. You are not foolish. Let me be very clear about that. In fact, it's often the wisest, most emotionally generous women who attract manipulative people. Because you lead with empathy. You give people the benefit of the doubt. You believe in second chances. Those are not character flaws. Those are beautiful qualities. But in the hands of the wrong person, those same qualities become the very thing they use against you. And here's what makes this particularly hard for women. In this season of life, you may be dealing with a manipulative adult child who still makes you feel like a bad mother no matter what you do, or a sister who rewrites family history whenever it's convenient for her, or a neighbor, a friend from church, or a new partner who makes you feel like you are constantly walking on eggshells. And the cruelest part, after decades of life experience, after raising families, building careers, surviving loss, you still find yourself asking, is it me? Am I the problem? That question right there is the manipulation working. And today we end that. Now, when I say silence a manipulator, I don't mean shutting them down in a dramatic confrontation. I mean removing yourself as a target. I mean becoming someone their tactics simply cannot reach anymore. Because here's the psychology behind all of this. Psychology foundation manipulation only works when the other person is trying to manage the manipulator's emotions, approval, or reaction. The moment you stop doing that, the moment you become truly grounded in yourself, their tools lose their power. Not because you fought back, but because there is nothing left to grip. Let's look at the 5 ways you can create that kind of inner ground. The first step is this: stop trying to understand the manipulator's behavior by looking at what they do, and start looking at what they fear. Every person who manipulates others is, at their core, terrified of something. It might be losing control. It might be being exposed as inadequate. It might be abandonment. It might be irrelevance. Their behavior, the guilt tripping, the gaslighting, the cold shoulders, the subtle digs, all of that is armor. It is their desperate attempt to keep that fear from surfacing. Think of it this way. Imagine a person who is drowning. They don't calmly reach for the lifebuoy. They grab onto whatever is nearest and they pull it under with them. That's not evil. That's panic. Now, understanding that doesn't mean you let yourself be pulled under, but it does something remarkable to how you respond. When you understand that the manipulation is coming from fear, not from power, something shifts in you. You stop trying to defend yourself from an attack, and you start observing a person who is struggling. That inner shift changes everything about how you carry yourself in their presence. And the manipulator, who feeds on your anxiety, suddenly finds nothing to feed on. Next time they try a tactic on you, try silently saying this to yourself. This is their fear talking. I don't have to respond to their fear. You don't say it out loud. You don't announce it. You just let it settle inside you. And then you remain calm. That calm is deafening to a manipulator. Here is something most people don't realize: manipulation is a performance. And every performance needs an audience. When someone guilt trips you, they are watching your face. When they make a passive-aggressive comment, they are waiting for your shoulders to tighten, for your voice to go defensive, for you to start over-explaining. That reaction is their reward. It tells them the tactic worked. It tells them to keep going. Psychologists call this extinction. When a behavior stops being reinforced, it eventually stops occurring. If you consistently give a manipulator no emotional reaction to their tactics, the tactics begin to die off on their own. Not always quickly, but inevitably. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I have feelings. Am I just supposed to be a robot? Absolutely not. The non-reaction doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you choose what you show. Think of a pond. A stone is thrown in, and of course the water moves. But if you go back to that pond an hour later, it is still and glassy again. You want to become that pond. The stone still lands. You still feel it. But you return to stillness, and you do not perform your hurt for the person who threw the stone. Practically speaking, this can sound like responding to a guilt trip with a quiet, unhurried, murmur, okay, and then saying nothing else, changing the subject, or simply leaving the room. No justification, no explanation, no fight, just a calm, gentle removal of the reaction they were counting on. It takes practice. But over time, it becomes one of the most dignified things you can do for yourself. I want to gently push back on something you may have been taught: that setting a boundary means having a conversation, that it means sitting someone down, explaining how you feel, and hoping they finally understand. For people with empathy, that works beautifully. But with a manipulator, that conversation becomes raw material. They use it to argue, to reframe, to make you the villain. For a manipulative person, your words are not communication, they are negotiation material. So here is a different kind of boundary. One that doesn't require their agreement. One that isn't a conversation at all. It's what I call the boundary of behavior. Instead of saying, "You make me feel terrible when you do that, and I need you to stop," you simply stop being available for it. If they call to criticize you, you say, "I have to go," and you hang up. Not angrily, just calmly, clearly. If they show up and immediately start belittling you, you remember a thing you need to do in another room, or you need to take a walk. You are not having an argument about the boundary. You are simply living it. Here's the beautiful psychology behind this: manipulators are, at their core, control seekers. When you argue with them about a boundary, you are still inside their sphere of control, because now they are controlling the conversation. But when your boundaries are just things that happen, when you are simply no longer in the room, no longer available, no longer engaging, they lose the handle entirely. A woman named Joan, in her late 60s, had spent years trying to explain to her daughter-in-law why her comments about Joan's parenting were hurtful. Every Thanksgiving became a tribunal. One year, Joan decided to stop explaining. When a comment came, she smiled quietly, said, "Will you excuse me?" and went to help in the kitchen. She didn't explain. She didn't come back and address it. She just redirected herself. By the end of the evening, her daughter-in-law had nothing to work with, and Joan sat down to dessert feeling, for the first time in years, like herself. One of the most insidious things a long-term manipulator does is this: they rewrite your story for you. Little by little, comment by comment, they replace your own understanding of who you are with their version of you. You're too sensitive. You always do this. No one else would put up with you. You can't take a joke. You're imagining things. Say these things enough times, and a person starts to believe them. Especially a person who was raised to be humble, to defer, to prioritize other people's feelings above their own. And so, quietly, without even noticing it happening, you start seeing yourself through their eyes. Reclaiming your inner narrative is the most powerful and most private act of resistance there is. It requires no confrontation. It asks nothing of them. It happens entirely within you. Start by writing, just for yourself, just in a private journal, the truest description you can give of who you are. Not who they say you are. Not who you fear you might be. Who you know yourself to be in your most honest and quiet moments. Write about a time you were genuinely kind. A time you were brave. A moment when your judgment was right. Fill those pages. Because the antidote to someone else's false story about you is your own true one. And then, and this is important, when they try to hand you their version of you, you don't have to take it. You can let it float past, the way a leaf floats past on a river. You see it. You don't grab it. You stay on the bank in your own knowing, and you watch it pass. The last lesson is perhaps the most counterintuitive, and it is the one I most want you to sit with. The deepest way to silence a manipulator is to stop abandoning yourself. Every time you override your own discomfort to keep the peace, you teach yourself that your comfort doesn't matter. Every time you dismiss your own instincts, maybe I'm being too hard on them, maybe I'm overreacting, you leave yourself a little more alone. And a person who is alone inside themselves is far more vulnerable to manipulation than a person who is in full, warm, honest relationship with their own experience. What I mean by that is this: when something feels wrong, let it feel wrong. Don't rush to explain it away. Don't immediately try to see the other person's perspective before you have fully honored your own. Your instincts are decades of lived wisdom. They are not hysteria, they are data. When you start truly listening to yourself, when you start being the kind of friend to yourself that you have always been to others, something beautiful happens. You become very hard to manipulate. Because manipulation requires a gap between what you feel and what you are willing to acknowledge. When that gap closes, the manipulator has nothing to step into. Think of it this way: imagine a woman who is completely at home in herself. She knows what she values. She trusts what she feels. She doesn't need your validation, but she doesn't reject kindness either. She is simply settled. She is a house with all the lights on and the door firmly but warmly closed. A manipulator looks at that house and moves on. There is nothing there to destabilize. There is no dark corner to work in. That settled woman can be you. She is already inside you. She may just need permission to come forward. I want to close by saying something I mean from the very bottom of my heart. The fact that you are here, the fact that you searched for this, clicked on this, and sat with this long enough to hear 5 lessons tells me something important about you. It tells me you are not ready to give up on yourself. Even when someone in your life has been making that very hard. You are not too old to reclaim your peace. That idea, that it's too late, that this is just how things are now, that you've already invested too much to change anything. That idea belongs to the manipulation, not to the truth. The truth is that every single day is a new opportunity to choose yourself, not in a dramatic way, not by burning everything down, but in the small, quiet, daily practice of trusting your own instincts, holding your own ground, and refusing to shrink to make someone else feel bigger. You have spent your whole life being there for other people, and that is a beautiful thing, truly. But here is what I know about women who have lived as long and as fully as you have your best years of knowing who you are, and refusing to apologize for it, may still be ahead of you. The silence I want for you is not the silence of someone who has given up. It is the silence of someone who no longer needs to explain herself, who no longer scrambles to justify her reality, who simply is fully, peacefully, unmovably. That is the silence that stops a manipulator. Not because you found the perfect argument, but because you found yourself.